Hey folks, it's your boy D here, and we've got a whole other episode of My First Year on T. And today we talk about coming out. So, talking about coming out as trans, in the trans community, and just our reactions to that, honestly. So, me personally, as have said before, I identify as a non-binary trans man. That identity or my identifiers have always been a thing, so I never really officially came out up until recently when I decided to do my medical transition. That was really what made me come out, although I had already been living my life essentially this way. So that was really something that was difficult, honestly. My family was not expecting it whatsoever. They knew that I preferred to be called D. They knew that I was living my life as fluidly as possible, but they didn't understand the whole concept of being trans, like, as a point blank explicit title. So it was pretty difficult, honestly. Still a thing now that my family is trying to get used to, but it is what it is, and people are stuck in their ways, and that's just so hard to get away from. But other than that, friendship wise, I am 100% out to all of my friends, and everyone's taking it very well, at least in that aspect. Family is where it's been a little slow, but friendship, it's been pretty good. When it comes to work, I actually haven't had much slack. Back when I was living in Pennsylvania, I didn't really push my identity too much on folks, or my preference for pronouns, things of that nature. I just kind of went with the flow. I was working to work, and that was it. I wasn't really living my life to the degree that I am now. So now, working and being out in the community here in Seattle, I am vocal about my identity because I've come to be more, I guess, more explicit on how I feel, because, I'm taking myself for a joyride now, essentially. Like, it's my life. I'm taking over. So that's been really, really nice, honestly. And although it's still, despite having conversations with folks, even like at work, using pronouns and all that stuff, people see you for what they see you, which is terrible to say, honestly, and I think it's ridiculous, but you just got to keep on living your life. There's going to be a lot of people who are not going to understand it, or they're not going to respect that because they're just that kind of person, but at the end of the day, your life is still it, and that doesn't make us any less trans or any less of a person than we are. And that's kind of just how I live my life now. I don't feel like I need to necessarily, like, formally or publicly come out, because that's something that I've never done. I wrote a letter to my mom and dad last summer letting them know that I was going to start transitioning medically, despite them knowing my identity, So they were really the ones who I was most concerned with, my parents. Other than that, I haven't really done much else. I'm just living my life. I'm using my pronouns how I want to. Everyone else is just kind of having to deal with it, and that's on them, because I'm gonna continue to live my life. I'm an adult, so I get to make the choices that I want in my life. Now, that's not easy for a lot of people to say. I understand that, especially like back in Pennsylvania, it wasn't very easy to say, because the culture over there is a lot more conservative than it is out here in the West. So I feel like that was a big factor into why I never actually was more than just a, like a passive person in the community, or, just so nonchalant about my identity and not really caring, because I felt like people in PA didn't care either. Like my healthcare and all that was just non-existent. I didn't care about anything. So, but coming out here definitely has changed things, seeing how accepting people actually are. When you show your true colors, people will actually do the same to you. So that's like the really cool aspect of that. Once you actually feel okay and comfortable with your identity and you can come forward like that, people tend to just open their arms up to you regardless, because they're going to trust and they're going to love you for who you are inside, regardless of what your identity is. And that's just what makes those people stand out, and that's the people you want to keep around. Now, how did when it came to actually, like, coming out, like I said, I didn't do it, like, legitimately. I wrote a letter, like I said, to my parents, and because I was living out here, I called my sister, texted my sister. I don't know, but it was like just as nonchalant as I'm talking to you guys now. It was as nonchalant of a conversation with my family, because I was just making the decision for myself, and that was really it. It was just me having to let them know, out of courtesy and respect for my family, although I don't feel like it is necessary to have to do that. I did it because I feel like they should know what's going on and see me truly as the person that I am, because I do have a pretty decent relationship with my family, so I can't just keep them out entirely. As much as they annoy the crap out of me, they're my family at the end of the day, and I'm maybe one in a million. Not everyone has as a supportive family. Again, I have still issues with my family. I get misgendered daily, and they still really don't understand pronouns and all this. But it's gonna happen whether or not they understand it. So I just keep living my life, and that's just the way the world keeps going. The world's gonna keep revolving, and we've just got to keep going with it. And that's for everybody else as well. When it comes to coming out, though, you definitely want to do it on your own time, when it is best and safe. And there are a lot of folks that are out there that I know don't have that opportunity to do so. Whether it be based on religion, whether it be based on where you live, or your family being not so accepting of things, friends, whatever. I understand coming out is not always the best idea, because there's a lot of danger that comes up with that. There's countries out in the world where folks that are multi-spirited, or the other gender, because there's so many religions out there that has been a thing for centuries, but even still, they're being persecuted, they're being murdered, they're being beaten on the streets just because they're different, or because their gender way that they represent themselves is different than the norm, or that binary man versus woman, or what you're born with. And so I get that it's scary. Coming out is not easy for all of us. There are a select few that that get that good luck, but that's not for everybody. So you definitely want to make sure that if you feel strong enough to come out, you want to be able to do that with people who truly care for you and support you, and do it in a way that your safety is still there, but if not, if even if you're at, like, I need to come out because this is me, and I need to live my life who I am, and people don't accept you, go find some new friends, go find some new family, kick them to the curb, because if they don't accept you, and they're being like, when it comes to violence, when it comes to just blatant ignorance, that's where I draw the line, where with family and friends, regardless of who they are, when it comes to blatant ignorance. Other than that, though, I mean, just live your life. Not everyone needs to come out. I mean, it's you. You're you. That's really it. And no one should have to explain themselves for that. You shouldn't have to justify yourself for that. And that's my perspective on things, because I'm such a really nonchalant type of guy. But that's not everybody. Everybody is very different. But just, you want to play it safe for sure. Always make sure you're safe, and if necessary, you have some sort of backup plan, or you have a support group. And even on the professional level, having a counselor or a therapist to talk over about your gender and sexual orientation, because that sometimes tends to get all mixed up in there. Talk it out, and find the best route to do it. There's so many different methods out there. We have the internet at our disposal. We have so much, in our grasp, and the support is there. So all you folks that are out there who are struggling with your identity, or, just trying to come to terms with it, and still researching things that are out there, you're not alone. It may or may not be easy, but you do have folks and friends and people out there in the world who do care for you and who are here for you. And if at the very least, I know us here on this channel are definitely here for you. So with that being said, that was me coming out, and my coming out story, which was really not that flavorful or anything, but I understand, the folks that are out there, that it's a big step in their identity, and just kind of liberating, because you can finally explicitly put it out there, and that's important for those folks that need that kind of validation. So I get that. I respect that 100%, and kudos for all you folks out there who have the strength to come out, and I hope the best for all of you out there. And if anyone ever needs to reach out to anyone, we are all here for you, folks. A lot of us contain our contact info on our posts. You can always reach out to us, and we're here for you. Even if it's just an ear or, a shoulder, just to be there for you guys. So, thank you for being out and taking the time out to watch this video. Another episode of Thursdays with D. I'll catch you guys next week. Have a good day.